hope you guys are having a fantastic day and are ready to jump in and work on this project. I've got a couple here for you to see, and I think that it's just going to be a lot of fun to kind of show you what we're going to create and how we're going to create it and what all we're going to do with it. This was just a really fun, different technique and something I got to play with, and it was interesting. I cannot say that this is an original idea of mine. Okay. I saw a lady, another demonstrator, I'm trying to remember her name. I believe the Pampered Stamp or something like that. And she had created one of these for Christmas. And I immediately had the idea, oh, I want to do this for Valentine's Day, because as many of you know, my daughter has a birthday on Valentine's Day. And so we're always trying to do something fun and different. And so that's what my idea was to do for her. And so I started playing with this and putting this together. And then I saw she kind of did the same thing, but I took it another step. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that in just a few minutes. So let me show you real quick. This one I left like this with the tag so I could easily take it off. Now, before I give it to her, I will probably attach it, just so you know, so that it adheres to the left side, and then she can undo it here and then the tag won't fall off. Okay. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and pull this off because I figure this is probably the easiest way just to show you guys and then be able to put it back on. Okay. So, but that's how the tag is. I put these little circle cutouts here to kind of create it like a doorknob or something like that. So it would kind of hold it together. And then you just open it up, and inside is this huge, large advent calendar style event. And I had a lot of fun creating this. This was very unique and different. I kind of went a little over the top on this one, and I'll explain to you what I did. But it was just very different. I really wanted to play with this. And because it's her birthday, and her birthday tends to get lost quite often on Valentine's Day, I really wanted to kind of make it special. So what I did with this was a tea party type theme. She loves tea. She does a tea party every year as a fundraiser for her school. Originally, I was thinking, oh, they should go right in a row, 1, 2, 3. But I think it's more fun for her to be able to kind of play with it and kind of see what it is and how it goes. Now, the original one I saw, they didn't put anything on this back cover. She just left it completely plain. And the way I had it set up, yes, that would be perfect if all I needed was 12, right? But instead, what I need is 14. So for this, I was going to do 14 like this, right? And I thought, well, that will be pretty cool. I like the idea of that. And so what I did was I just cut out these little boxes, and then I'm going to show you guys how to do that tonight. And then I actually took a die on these, and I cut out the die. And let me show you what I mean by that. So using the paper tags dies, I took this little tag here and I put it here at the end, and I cut out that little notch. And then I cut it out again in the real red cardstock, and I folded it over and then put a die cut there at the top of a heart, cut that out. And then I used that to put all of my ribbon through. And then that one just came off, but let me show you how it works. This is actually a good way for me to show you. I put foam, which is very sticky. I put foam on one side so that it would pop up off the top and be easy to grab. And then I put adhesive here on the back, just plain adhesive right there on the back, okay? So if you put this in here like that, and then you push this down, and then I'm just going to tighten that up real good, then this will fit right in here. And these are the perfect size for a tea bag. Okay, so that's how I did it going all the way across, and that's how each one is. Then I took the perennial postage die cut, and I just cut out this little postage piece right here, and then I put my numbers on it. Now I want to show you where I got that, this little red. It looks like it is probably just real red cardstock, but instead, it's actually, and I love it. I love it. This is that kind of velvet type paper that we have. And what I did was I put some of the two-sided sticky tape on the back, or paper on the back, and then I just die cut it out, and they popped right out. Rather than me trying to put adhesive on the back of all of these, I was able to just put it on with my with that adhesive paper right here, you can see, and it cut out beautifully. And though this was meant and it originally was released for Christmas, it works perfectly for Valentine's Day. So then the other thing I did was, because the 14th is the big day, is I cut out another piece of the perennial postage with the larger die cut, and then I made a larger pocket here and put even more inside this pocket, so I could make the 14th a bigger day. It's a more exciting day. 13, I even made a little bit larger. You can see, so it's like kind of the countdown. Oh, we're almost there. So I put in just something a little bit bigger to make it more fun. So it's a specialty tea. And then I put a couple different ones in here. Plus I'll have a gift card in here, but I'll show you what I did. These were a little bit larger, these Piper and Leaf, which are so yummy. And this is one of her favorite teas. And so I just double stacked it and then put the same thing like I did with the die cuts here. I just put that right on top and then put it right in there and put this together. So this is just a really fun, creative thing that you can do for literally anybody, for anything. Okay, and I'm going to show you some of the techniques. We're going to do just the basic part of putting it together today. And I'll show you a couple different ways and a couple different thoughts of things that you can do to kind of get started. But I wanted you to kind of see just how fun and easy this is to do. The other thing to kind of consider too is right now this paper is actually out of stock, which is shocking and yet not, because we're so close to Valentine's Day. I figured, oh my goodness, we're almost there, and it's going to come back soon. So if you really love this paper, don't worry, you will have this beautiful paper. But another option would be this paper here too. This is called the Love Notes. It's a 6x6. These would be really cute to kind of cut out and then stick down in those tags. And then you can put something, put it with it and just kind of give a sweet little note, or you could attach it to a little gift of something that you wanted to do, something like that. Okay, so these are really cute. There's lots of ideas in here, lots of little pieces that you can cut up. So this would work really, really well in addition to the other paper or instead of. The other thing is, I noticed the Seasons of Elegance paper. This one I almost created with. So I just want you guys to kind of look and see what so many of the options are. But this is Seasons of Elegance. And look at this red paper. Look at how beautiful that is. Look at that. So I think that would make a gorgeous Valentine's Day. And if you're trying to make it a little bit more masculine, the back side would be gorgeous. Look at all of that. It just, that texture that's on there. So I think that would work really, really well as well. And then, of course, we've used this, so you can see I've just got my scraps left. But you've got your basic beige, and same thing. If you don't want all of the gold shimmer, which I think is just gorgeous, but if you're trying to make it a little bit more masculine theme, you could use the back side. It would be absolutely perfect. So just some things to kind of consider. As you can see, like I said, I have just scraps of this one left. But and if you wanted to do this for Christmas, as the original idea was shown, you could easily, make this for Christmas. And so, and a lot of those supplies right now are on sale and discounted. So just something to think about if you want to go ahead and get some stuff done for next year and get prepared. This is a great time to do it. So I wanted to show you that. I also wanted to show you here with these numbers and stuff. I just went back to my dies and I used the alpha a la mode and I just cut those out. And again, like I told you earlier, the velvet paper, it's just stunning and it works so easily. Had no issues whatsoever trying to cut that out. So I think you guys would really love it. And again, the key really is to use the adhesive paper in the background. Okay. So that's the one that I have here that I had already created. So let me kind of put this back. Now let me show you, I was playing today just a little bit and I pulled out this, or I started creating this one as a masculine theme because I have a son, and so I don't want him to feel left out. This would be a great gift for him. Now it's very basic at this point. I haven't decorated it up inside or any of that, but I'll show you kind of what I did. So this is just a little belt buckle type thing that I created. You open it up. And then inside, I put all of these little pockets. And this is kind of, I don't know if it looks silly or not, but these are kind of reminiscent of like a tissue or a hanky in a pocket. That was kind of what I was going for. And so basically did the same thing. I haven't added in 13 and 14 yet. And as you can see, I have not added my numbers, but this is just to kind of give you some ideas of some things that you can do. And again, just making it so that it's not, let me put that back in there. So it doesn't always have to be feminine. Like this, I thought was a great way just to kind of do a little bit more masculine and use it up. And what I want to show you is I thought that this was really cool. So that paper is not probably what you would have expected for me to grab, but that was actually the country lace paper. Okay, so always look at your paper, at the names of it and all. Don't let it stop you, because the back side of it, though country lace makes it sound very feminine, and it kind of does have some feminine touches to it, the back side is very masculine and can be used for many things. I mean, yes, we have a little bit of peach, but on the back of the peach is where I got my blue jean, right? And so we have another little blue jean piece here. I have this gray with a little floral, but then I have stripes. So there's a lot of options here. So always, always, always look at your back sides of your cardstock, or I'm not your cardstock, but your DSP, and you may be amazed at what you can find. I always am. So I think that you guys will be as well. But this I thought was just perfect. And again, not out of a paper pack I would have expected. So another thing I want to kind of show you, and it's going to make a little bit more sense as we're creating the next one that we're going to do tonight, okay? But the thing you want to think about is, what are you going to put inside your pockets? That's going to tell you whether or not you need your pockets, or you need to have your cardstock, what you're going to have here, thicker or thinner. And let me show you what I mean by that, okay? So if I pull in my original, I'm going to stand it up so that you can see. So as I'm holding it closed, it's closed just fine, right? Everything is kind of there. You can see some of the little twine sticking out, that kind of thing. But it all fits perfectly in the box. But if I let go, you can see where it kind of pops open. And that's because once you add the tea bags to it, though the packets will stretch, though these will stretch here, right? They lay on top of each other and they're not going to fold flat completely. So you want to think about how far you need to go to be able to, what you need to do for the paper of your background based upon what you're going to put inside, and also how big you need to make your book. So, or your base to hold it all. Okay. So for here, I had, like I said, I showed you I had tea, but for his, I have chocolate. Okay, so this could be mine. He may not get all the chocolate. I don't know. But as you can see, the chocolate is a lot thicker, right? And it's not going to squish down like tea would. So if you were to measure this, it is like about 1/4 of an inch thick. Okay, well, when you put 1/4 of an inch plus 1/4 of an inch plus 1/4 of an inch, right? You're going to definitely need, that's 3/4 of an inch. And I haven't even done anything on the back side on this yet, right? So I'm definitely going to need to have a little bit of wiggle room and space as I create that in order to get everything to fit well and for it to sit. And if you notice, I changed this one up from the way I did the red, the Valentine's Day one. When I have this completely closed like that, it's nice and tight. If I hold it up, it's not, there's plenty of room based upon how much space I gave on the side in order to accommodate all that. And I put my measurements into effect when I did that. Okay, so just something to kind of think of. Now, when I look at it, you can definitely see there's some gaps here. You can see that I have it, but that's okay. I mean, not many people are going to be looking at the top of it. But as you can see too, I also have room in the back to be able to put more stuff in the back for the 13 and 14. Okay, so just something to kind of consider when you're doing that. This one was a little bit thinner, as you can see, but so it says doesn't sit as high, but what I put inside wasn't as thick, so it didn't need as much room. Okay, so again, just some things to consider as we're doing it. So I'm just going to put that on there for now. We're going to set these aside, and I'm going to show you a couple different things. So when you're creating you kind of want to start backwards, okay? What we want to do is we want to create all of our pockets first, get the pockets done, and then we want to do the inside lining, and then we'll build the outside. And again, that's going to help us know how thick and big we need to make our case. Okay, so I pulled out, this is some of paper that we've had out for a little while now. It's the Floral Impressions, and this is very bright and very bold, and this is definitely my mom. She loves all the bright colors, all the bright things, and she has a birthday coming up in February. So I thought, okay, why don't I make her own advent calendar for her birthday? And so I was really excited. I went looking into all my papers and into all my things to see, okay, what can I make? And how bright do I need it to be? And as you can see, I pulled out some of our bright cardstocks. And these are actually this year's new colors. And so I thought, okay, this is going to be good for her. She'll love the brightness of it. She'll love the florals, all of those pieces that we can kind of put together. She's going to love to do. So now I created a Cricut file that is anybody who signs up on my website just to kind of be a customer or to stay in contact with things can get a copy of my Cricut file for free. But I went through and I cut out all of my pockets, but I'm also going to show you how to cut them out. If you don't have a Cricut, or if you want to use something maybe a little bit different and do something a little bit different, you can do it on your own without the Cricut file, okay? This just made it super easy because I know that they're all uniform, they're all ready to go. It's going to work, okay? Actually, I will grab one of the sheets here from here, okay? Because I think that this is really pretty. I'm going to do the purple, something without the lines, just so that you can kind of see what I'm going to do. And on the back side, it's really pretty too, because look at all those fun hearts. So again, this is something I could decorate, put a little note inside of the other Valentine's one I have, or do it for the masculine one, whatever. So I'm going to show you guys this in a minute, but before we get to this, I want to show you how to create this on your own, okay? So what you want to think about is, what are you going to put in the pocket? That's the first thing. And you want to make sure that you measure your pocket, or measure your ingredient, I guess you should say, about what you're going to do. So mom likes always a little treat. And so I found these, they're really good. They don't have any extra sugar. This will be perfect for her, but it will give her a little treat every day. And there'll be other things that I'll add and such, but this should work really well. So obviously, if I measure this, it's going to be about, and I did cut off the ends just so I can make sure it was going to fit in okay. So notice here, now I still have to fold this. In fact, let me do that really quickly. If I fold this up to create the pocket, you're going to see how this will obviously be a little bit smaller, right? There we go. Okay, so this is my pocket as of right now, okay? So if I want to put this in there, it's going to stick out just a little bit. And if I put like a little tag or something on it, what's sticking out will probably be just fine. So I think that this actually is going to work fine. And then that way too, what I like about this is if I decide I want to put like a little packet of M&Ms or something like that, they should all fit in there just fine. Same thing with the chocolate. If I decide to put some of those chocolates in here, we know that those are going to match, right? So because this sticks up a little bit, and my paper gives me a little bit of give, I'm good to create it just like I did here, okay? I think that that's going to be just fine. And that's what I did with the chocolate. That's not any thicker than the chocolate was, okay? So the way I created that, and there's a reason, again, I'll explain that to you in a minute by why I did it that way. So the way I created this one is literally you're going to get your paper trimmer, just like this, okay? And you're going to we want it to be 3 1/4 high and 2 3/4 wide when it's folded. That is our goal, okay? So 3 1/4 tall, 2 3/4 wide. Now that is when it's folded. So I've got to think about it before I fold it. Okay, so if I want to add 1/4 inch on each side, and I said it's 2 3/4, that means it has to be 3 1/4, okay? So again, if I start at 2 1/4, I'm just adding 1/4 of an inch for each side. So I'm going to move over 1/4. That brings me to 3. That would be on this side. Now let's do this side. I've got to add another 1/4. Okay. So there you go. It's 3 1/4. So then I'm just going to cut that. Now I know that's the width, right? So now I know the height is 3 1/4. But I've got to consider this piece here at the bottom. So that means I want to turn this and I want to make it a 3 1/2. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scoring blade and I'm going to move it down and I'm going to score at that 1/4 of an inch that I just gave myself. The 1/4 of an inches on each side that I added on, I have to now score so that I can create my pocket. I don't have to do it at the top because I only added on 1/4 of an inch because I'm only folding up the bottom. I'm not folding out the top, right? That way I can create a pocket. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors, if I can put my hands on them. Okay, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm literally just going to cut to the corner on each side so that I can make almost like a diagonal. And you can even just cut it straight across if that helps. Just like that, okay? And I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do the same thing. I want it to be at where it matches in the corner. And I'm just going to go straight across. And then I'm going to do it here at the top too. And the only thing that this does just to my scored line and then out. The only thing that does is when I go to fold it, I don't have a lot of extra hangover. Okay, it just helps it fold better. And that's how the one on the Cricut is done. You can see it's automatically done that way. So this is how, if you were going to create your own without your Cricut, this is how you would create it. You would just fold it just like that in, just like we did on this one. Okay, and you could make it a little bit wider like this. I did 1/4 of an inch. You could do 1/2 of an inch on each side. So you'd want to give yourself, which is a little bit closer to what it is here. It's not quite 1/2 of an inch, but it's pretty close. And that gives you a little bit more to adhere down when you do it. So, but no, too, you're going to end up using a little bit more cardstock. Okay. So that's if you were wanting to create something that wasn't too thick. However, what if I wanted to put something in there that was kind of thick, right? Well, then you're going to have to kind of go another step and we're going to have to, and this is going to make sense too when we do our big box, because the big box is done the same way. So here's one I cut out of with the Cricut. And what we did is same scoring. But it already has the notch cut out up here. Okay. Which for these, all you would need to do is literally just take a punch and I like to see it from the back side. Okay. So I like to just put it here, try and make sure I have the center. It's a lot easier to do that with your die cuts than it is with a punch, but a punch is a lot quicker too. So, but as you can see, that's all I did. And now I've got basically the same thing up here. Okay. So that's what that is. Now for the score marks, what we did down here is literally 1 inch on each side. But it's not just an inch, or it's not just one score. There's actually 2. And the reason being, okay, so here's one score, right? And then there's another score. There's 2 score lines on each side. And what it does is, as you can see, it creates a thicker pocket so that you can put more things in there. Now, I probably would not create something like this that's going to be this thick and try and do 14 days. But I might try and do it if I'm trying to do 4 or 5 days. You've got to think about how big your box is going to be by the time you're done. And with 14, you would probably have to have like a 3-inch, maybe even more, of a binding on your box if you were to do it this thick. But it is something for you to kind of consider. So if I did that, now you can see just how thick. Can you see that? Just how thick that is. And all that I can put in there, okay? So that gives you a whole lot more wiggle room for whatever it is that you want to put in there. I think I even have like a little spot, maybe not quite the spot, but if I wanted to put a tea bag, and this in here, I easily could. I would just have to attach them together so that when I put something there to pull it out, both came out, right? But I have plenty of room to do that. So as you can see, this was just putting an inch on each side, an extra inch on each side of how big I needed it to be on my width, and then folding it at each half inch. And that gave me a half-inch pocket, okay? And these are giving me about a quarter of an inch pocket, because the paper is going to stretch a little bit, but not near as much. And so this is going to be like a little bit thinner, okay? So that's how you would go and you would do all of those. So if we take, so I showed you how to do it if I was going to make it by hand, but if I'm doing it with a Cricut, I'm just going to take some of these with my Cricut and I'm going to fold these up. And how I'm folding these, again, it's just, and I'm sorry for the glass mat, it makes it a little bit more noisy. I don't like the noise, but I do like a good crisp fold, okay? And so you can see some of these I can do it like this and do it like this. And then when I put them in my box, all of the different paper designs, what I'm doing is, and again, what I'm doing is I just separate them out. So not all one design is on top of each other. I just are right beside each other. I want to make sure that I've got a good gap and spacing, and then it makes it a little bit more colorful. And with all of these colors, I think it for sure is going to do that. All right. So the other thing, let me show you before I go even further, okay? The other thing is, if you are going to use a punch like this, I think it just makes a lot of sense to do a couple steps before you get started, okay? Do one, let me see if I can find one that is going to be easy to see. Okay, so I'm going to find my middle part here, using my glass mat. I'm going to see, okay, where is a center section that I can mark, and that way I know exactly where I need to cut. And so if I show my center, I'm going to actually, let me do it on this one because I've got my fold lines a little bit better. And I'm even going to do it on the back in case for some reason I go over the top. Okay. So it's going to be about right there, I think. All right. So that tells me that's my center mark, right? And so I'm just going to take my there we go. Take my circle punch and I'm just going to cut out my circle. There we go. Now, in order to not have to do that for every single one of them, which can take a lot of time, now all I have to do is put these on top of it, line it up, and then put this in here. And I'm going to have all of them be the same place, exactly where I want it to be, because I'm using one as my guide instead of having to do them separately. I did not notch it out in my Cricut file because, like I showed you with the Valentine one, I wanted to make sure that if you wanted to do it with a different design, you could absolutely do it with a different design. So like with hers, I used the tag, and I just used one piece of the tag, and it made it a little bit more playful in my opinion. Oh, let me do it on this side so I can see. It doesn't get lost, but I liked the playfulness of it. I liked the detail and just the fun, the prettiness of it, rather than just having your standard circle, which is fine. That's what we're using on this. It makes a nice little notch. But I thought, oh, let's play with it. Like I said, I wanted to be a little bit more fun for her because this is Valentine's Day, it's her birthday, and her birthday tends to get lost. So this is an old punch, but this was the size I wanted, or I had, and that I needed. I didn't want anything that was going to be super big, and the other punch that I have is much bigger, so this worked out well. So again, I'm just lining them all up, making sure that I've got them all even at the same place. just like that. Okay, now I'm not going to make you watch me do all of them because it takes time, right? But that's just something for you to kind of consider. I think I just had one left actually, maybe, well, those two. But so you can see all we're doing at this point is we're just going to be folding these down, okay? And so do them however you want. So I want to make sure that I have a few so I can do both sides and kind of show you what needs to happen. So we're just going to kind of fast forward. I would say to do at least 3, maybe 4 colors if possible. What I liked about this one is I could do, pockets, I'm sorry. What I liked about this is I could use this pink if I wanted and this floral. So I have lots of options here, but what I did was I ended up cutting 4 out of each. And I'm not even going to need that many because her birthday is on the 9th. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to do 4 on one side, 4 on another side, and in the middle on the back, I'll do a big one. So if I do that, and I'm just going to do 4 on each side, let me kind of lay that out so I can think, oh, you know what? If because of that, I think what I'm going to do is I am going to change it, and I'm going to do it so that I have a pink one too. So you're going to kind of see my creative process. I hope that's okay, but let's have some fun. Again, I apologize. The deer are outside and the dogs are just going nuts. They so badly want to be out there with them. So I'm going to do this one as my pink one. My purple. And I probably will put something larger in the back. So again, just putting this sizes here, this should work perfectly. Well, I would love to know some ideas of things that you guys think that you would put inside of yours. I've got another idea that I haven't had a chance to put together yet. I'll tell you about in a few minutes, but I'm really excited about that. But what are some ideas of things that you think you could use this for? So, and this isn't your traditional birthday paper. You could absolutely use some birthday paper. I just know my mom loves bright colors. So no matter what kind of bright colors I use, she's going to be happy as long as they're nice and bright. And so I figured this would be some good bright colors. And I'm going to do those too, get those done. Okay, just like that. All right, so we've got all of those, okay? So now I've got my pockets ready. We're good to go. Those didn't take long at all, right? Make sure I've got 8. 1, I've got those, that's 4. And this is 4 here. And then, like I said, we'll put some in the back. Let me move that so that that's not confusing. Okay, so that's gonna tell me how far I need my paper to go as well. So let me explain. If I bring in this, okay, you can see I've got 2, 4, but I also have room for some on the back. I don't need to have all of that paper because I'm not going to have that many pockets. So what was cool about this is literally an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock that I cut down to 8 inches. So now it was 8 by 11. And this is another piece of 8.5 by 11, again, cut down to 8 by 11. And then I just glued the very back into it, and I scored it at the 3-inch mark. And that's why my pockets have to be smaller than 3 inches so that they'll fit in there. Now, if I wanted my pockets to be 4 inches, that would be fine. I would just have to change a little bit of my dimensions, but it worked well that it was 2 3/4 here, if you remember, and 3 1/4 there. And so that kind of helps me be able to lay that out there. So we've got the same dimension of what we're doing here, but we don't need as many pockets, okay? And so I'm going to show you what we kind of want to do with that. So this is going to be my inside color, okay? So for the white, it was white on the other one. We're going to use these for it. So let me get my trimmer. And if you remember, the first thing I said we were going to do is we're going to cut this paper down to 8 by 11. Okay, we're going to cut it down more from there, but we know the first thing is we want it at 8 inches. Let me open this up. I use my trimmer backwards. People tell me that all the time. You don't need to worry about telling me. I know, but this is how I can see it. I'm not having to look up high, and it's right down here for me to be able to see it. So I use it, I guess, upside down. All right, so instead of 8.5 by 11, I want it 8 by 11. And so I'm going to do that to both pieces. 8 by 11. All right, so that's how I have it so far. Now what you want to do is we want to score it at 3 inches because that's how wide it's going to be on the front. Okay, so what we're doing right now is we're creating this little flap, like how it folds right here. I want 3 inches. Oh, and make sure you use your scoring blade, not your cutting blade. Done that too many times. All right, so like I showed you here on this one, this will not lay flat because there's no give here, right? So I want it to have just a little bit of a give. It doesn't have to be huge, but it's got to be something, right? So this had none. And when I did the one with the pockets over here for the masculine one, take that out, this had a 1/2 inch. And a 1/2 inch was perfect for how thick that these are. It almost looks like it's going to be too much, but if you notice, they're sitting on top of each other and they're doing just fine. It's not sticking up. It's not doing any of that. So that actually works for me. So I think we should do, since these are about, the candy I have for her is about the same thickness. And again, if I wanted to do M&Ms or Skittles or anything like that, they're probably going to be about the same thickness too. So I scored it at 3 inches. Now I want to move it over to and give myself another 1/2 inch. So at the 3.5, I'm going to do another score. All right. Now from the 3.5, I need to give myself another 3 inches. So right now I'm at 3.5. So that means I need to go to the 6.5. And I'm going to score it. All right. And then if I follow that along, I'm going to go to the 7. And because I have to give myself another 1/2 inch, right? We did that here on this side. I've got to do it on this side. So I would score it. That's 3. Or I'm sorry, that would be at the 7 inches, and I'm just scoring it. So that gave me, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got my, can you see? I don't think you can see it. I'm sorry. But I've got 3 inches, my scoring, another 3 inches, my scoring. And then what would I typically do? I would move it to the 10, which is another 3 inches. And I'm going to do it just so that you can see kind of how you had to do it if you were going to do it full 12 pieces, okay? We're just going to go ahead and score it. Then we're going to move it a 1/2 inch and score it again. All right, so I would do that with both pieces. So there's one. Now let's take the other. So again, I'm going to the 3 inch mark. I'm scoring it. I want to give myself a 1/2 inch fold, so I'm moving it a 1/2 inch, scoring it again. And I'm telling you guys this so that you can see at the 3.5. Now I'm going to go to 6.5. So you can see, hey, no matter what you want to create, you can still create it the way you want to do it. You don't have to just create the way I did it. If you want to use something different inside, you could do this. Now, if you were only going to put little notes in each pocket, then you could just do a straight fold and you wouldn't have to worry about this. Just at every 3 inches, you would make a score and you would fold it so it scored on top of each other, which is what the white one was like, or the Valentine Day one was like. All right, so that's 7. So we're going over to the 10. And then 10.5 again. All right. All right, so as of right now, let me take this out. Let's look at this. As of right now, these are both ready, scored and ready to go. We are going to cut these down because like I said, I don't need all of that, right? So if I only need 2 sections, this is going to be my front, right? You're not going to see anything on here. I'm going to have pretty paper. Then I have to fold it like this so it creates the pocket where you open it up. That means that this part here has to fold back. And by the way, using the Stampin' Up 8.5 by 11 cardstock is perfect for this because it's so thick. It holds really, really well for whatever you're trying to put on there. It's not going to tear and bend easily. Okay, so at this point, this is basically what we have inside my book. I would do this to both sides, but I want to show you why we're going to cut this down. So right here, I would have, let me show you. So if I take this one into account, I'm going to bring one in so you can see it while we're creating. Here's this one. So this would be this piece right here, this side, right? I'm going to end up decorating this up, but that means when I open it up, I'm going to have a pocket here. I'm going to have space here so that it has some give, and I'm going to have more pockets here, right? But then that means I don't have to have all of this, right? So I got to think about that because if I don't need to have all of this, I'm not going to have more pockets here. I'm going to have a couple pockets maybe on the back or one pocket on the back since her birthday's on the 9th. But I don't have to have all of this space, right? So then what you can do at that point is you can have them both right here and then literally just cut it here. And then this part is going to tuck in to the back side. So if I do it like this, actually let's create one side and then you can kind of see how we're going to fold it in. Okay, so I'm going to take these. Now, what I would say for these is you really want to use some kind of either a liquid adhesive or your score tape. Okay, you can use either or, but one or the other, not your traditional like Tombow tape because that's not going to be sticky enough. Okay, so for that, what we want to do is I'm just going to bring this in here. I'm going to just take my adhesive and I'm putting adhesive on it. And if you look, I'm putting it pretty close to the edging. That way, if I decide to put something in here that is, does need a little bit more give, it gives my paper room to stretch. It's not adhered all the way to the edge and it can't stretch very far. So then I'm going to give myself just a little bit of a spacing down here at the bottom. Make sure I've got it folded in on all the sides because when I set it down, it's going to want to fold back up. So I'm making it even on the sides and then I'm going to push it down a little bit. Again, that is the nice thing about using a liquid adhesive. Let me move this so I can pull this up a little bit. But I want to make sure that I'm giving myself plenty of room to take something in and out here. So I'm going to do the same thing here to this one, but I'm not going to, and what I like to do on this too, is I like to take one of our blocks and just set my block on there, just like that. And then that way it's going to hold it down while it's drying, and then I can move it to the next one. Okay, so I want to make sure I've got plenty of room to take things in and out, and that the tag that's going to sit here isn't going to be so close to the top. So I just have to give myself a little bit of space there. Again, just put some adhesive on it. Okay, and then I'm coming up about an inch, maybe about 3/4 of an inch, to make sure I have about the same spacing at the top of it as well. And then I'm just setting it down. Now, another one I am excited to create is my husband and I have our 30-year anniversary next year. Not this year, but next year. And I thought, how fun would it be to do one of these advent calendars and give it to him this year on our anniversary, and have each pocket, instead of it be a day, be a month. And inside the pocket, it could be something that we can do that month together to celebrate, you know, our time together, or just kind of a nice date night, something maybe out of the ordinary, but then have the month of next year, you know, for next year, be a big trip or something like that, something extra fun there at the end of the year for our 30-year anniversary. And so that's kind of what I had an idea of that I'm planning on doing for that. And so this is what I mean, where you can create this and it can be for so much more than just Christmas or Valentine's Day. I think that's what we kind of think with Advent calendars. Oh, it has to be Christmas, or it has to be, you know, but as I showed you earlier, Valentine's Day works really, really well, right? This for a birthday is going to work really, really well. I think she'll be very excited about getting this. Okay. And so just whatever you can come up with, something, if you have a child who's at college and you want to send them something, you know, you could do it like this and have it be for every week of the semester, and then maybe have a gift card or something like that inside. And so you're just keeping it fun. Okay. So this is what it's going to look like right now if I put it in there. I know it's going to have a little bit of a step up. I've got to think about this for a minute. If I want to do a big one here, let me think. I don't want this to be on the back, and this is going to fold in. So we got to change it because we don't have as many folds. Typically we'd have some of the here, and then we'd set it here, and then it would lay down on top, because we still want to be able to decorate this side up, right? So I'm wanting to, I've got to think about this, how I'm going to do it. I've got to think about that. I didn't think about that as I was thinking about creating hers today with you guys to see how it was going to all come together. Let me see. And I was going to do it smaller because the other ones that I've done have all been 14. And even if you did 12, obviously 12 is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, then there'd be nothing on the back, right? So you wouldn't have to worry about it. But because we're making it a little bit smaller, all we have to do is kind of think about, okay, if I'm making it smaller, how do I have to make it so that everything is going to sit in there just so. All right, so now I'm working on the other side, okay? So that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm just folding it to make sure it's going to line up with the other side. And if I, let me think, if I do it like this, I think because I've already put these in there, I'm going to need to decorate this part up. If I hadn't put these on there, I could do it a little bit differently. And maybe even have them, I'm going to have to think about this. Let me see. If I want to do it where you open it up and it has it, maybe that's how we'll do it. We'll change it so that it opens up like this. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? Okay, so we're going to change that. So again, just a totally different look. We're going to do it like this. I don't need all of this paper here, okay, because it's going to be super, super heavy duty, but I am going to use it. I could cut some off, but it's just going to reinforce, especially if I end up putting something heavy in here, it's just going to reinforce it. So that's going to be just fine. So we're going to put it like this. This is how we're going to decorate it up. So when you open it up, instead of it having this on the outside, okay, you're going to go ahead and just start with your pockets. That's how I think we're going to do it. All right. I think I like that idea. All right. So I've got to decorate this side and this side. So what I want to think about is if it's going to be open like that, then that means I want to have the other colors showing. So I want to have it like this. And I want to make sure I peeked inside too to make sure that I didn't have the green on the top, and I don't. And so that's good. That way it just, again, doesn't look too uniform. So I'm just trying to think of all the things before I continue. As you can see, this really doesn't take that long. It really doesn't. So I'm going to open this up just for a second. I want to make sure I've got everything matching, because it is going to be kind of sitting side by side, especially since we're going to have it on the front now. And so we want to make sure that it's going to be nice and even. The other thing about this milled cardstock is it absorbs the liquid adhesive really, really well. And so what that means is it's not going to, like, once it sticks, it's stuck. So if you want to pull it up for some reason, you might have to redo it. Ask me how I know. All right, same thing. So again, I just want to make sure everything's lined up. I'm using the one I did a minute ago as my guide to make sure I'm at the same height. And there we go. Now I want to change up how I do these two, where I want to have my pink here and my floral here. So again, it's, as you're looking at it, they all don't look the same, right? I won't decorate it all up and all of that with you tonight, but I wanted to show you how to put the box together. That way you could kind of see it for yourself and then hopefully create one. And I really, really, really hope you do. I had so much fun creating these, and I love the idea of using it for a different occasion, just because I think we need to celebrate people. And they're all the good that they bring to our lives. All right, so same thing, just flipping this in. Another reason why it's really good to have good score lines, because you can, and you know, you've smoothed them out because they'll just lay straight down as we're doing it this way. Okay, so as we said, we're going to, oh shoot, I think I did them backwards. I think I did them upside down. Let me think. Because I want it to open up on the other, I want it to do it like that. Yes, there we go. Sorry, I got it. All right, so see how I want both sides to open up? So I just had to make sure that it was lined up like that. I don't know what I was thinking. All right, so there you go, just like that. All right, so that what that tells me is if I have it like this, I need to go ahead and glue down these back pieces to create my, and it's gonna be 6.5 back here. So what I want to do is, this is a place where it's really good to use score tape. Okay. So because we want that score, we want it to adhere down. We want to make sure that we're creating this box that we're going to use over and over and over again. And they might even, unless you personalize it, they could be using it again for a friend or somebody like that too. So remember that, right? It could be something that they could pass on, fill up with more candy, give it to somebody else when they're done with it. And so we want to make sure that it's going to last and stand the test of time. I mean, that is truly what we're going for. So I'm just going to double check my measurements, make sure I did this right, or I'm thinking correctly. I think I'm at 6.25. Yep, 6.25 is what I want this back to be, so my base right here, okay? So if I do that, I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to take this off so I can get this lined up. And this is score tape, so that means once it goes down, I have to be careful. All right, so I'm gonna put this fold right here at my 6 1/4. And what's nice about this mat is I can do it like this, the glass top, and it's not gonna move. And I've got this fold, this crease right here is at the 6 1/4. Again, all of this extra could be cut off, but it's gonna also help it be a good base for putting it together, okay? So, and for holding it together. So now I want to take this score line here, right here, and I want to make sure that that is at 0 basically on my ruler. It's at the very, very beginning. And I've got to make sure it's that back side because it wants to kind of move a little bit. And so I'm just trying to make sure everything is lined up. And then I'm going to just, again, make sure it's lined up here at the bottom. And there, everything's nice and lined up and there we go. Now, I think, yep, that's what I was afraid of. I think I put a piece of score tape too far out, but I'm not worried about that because we're going to put another piece of cardstock here. This is our inside piece, right? So that's actually going to come in handy in just a minute. I was going to add more. I do want, I mean, I literally just missed it. Look at that. But what I'm going to do is at this point, because I have another piece, I'm just going to take some of my liquid adhesive, lay that down, open this up and lay that down. And let that have a minute. This piece of score tape is not lost though. That's going to adhere to my other paper that I've got. And look, I showed you earlier, but if you remember, look at that. Look at that. This is what we're going to use here. Okay, so before I can know what I need to do, like how wide I need to make this, I've got to play with what I'm going to have in my pockets. Okay? Because my pockets, what I have in my pockets is going to determine how wide I need it. Okay. Now I've already given myself this 1/2 inch right here. Most likely everything's going to fit right perfectly in there. But if I take a bunch of candy, and I've just got more chocolate here, so I'm going to use that as my example because we know it's going to fit in just fine. But I've got all this candy, right? That should be plenty. All right, so I'm going to go back and decorate this up later. But I want to make sure before I make my box on the outside that I've thought through all the things. This is the other thing, when you make multiple things, you think of new things to think about. It gives you some flavor and wiggle room. All right. So this is how it's going to be, right? So that's pretty good. And then we know, let's just put this stuff inside because we know we're going to end up having something there, right? All right, perfect. So what I would do now is I would take a ruler and I would measure with my ruler and see how tall it stands right now. And right now, if I take my ruler, let's see, it's easier to do it at the end. So I'm trying to do it so you can see what I'm doing on camera. It is about, this side sticking up just a little bit more, but I would say if I do 1.5, it's going to be plenty, which is really what I did with the men's one that I did. Okay, so 1.5. So again, what I'm measuring is, see how I had to give myself this 1/2 inch here. So I need to give myself a 1.5 inch on my outside box. That's what this is. Okay. So again, I'm bringing in 8.5 by 11 cardstock. With my 8.5 by 11, I want this is going to cover up. Let me bring this in here real quick. This is going to cover up this. It's coming straight around it and it's covering it up. So if this was 3 inches, we know that this is going to have to be wider, right? So this is 3 1/4. So we're going to do 3 1/4. And I'm just, again, scoring. I'm trying to get this on here so you can see it. I'm sorry. But 3 1/4 here. And then I'm just going to double check the men's one that I did. Make sure it was at, yeah, it was at 1 1/2. So if I did 3 1/4, I'm going to go to 4 3/4. That is 3 1/4 plus 1 1/2, right? That's going to give me that fold. Then what I'm going to do is I basically have my 3 1/4. I have this fold. And then I have all of this left over. This is my backing. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So 3 1/4. Come over, remember 1 1/2 inches. So I'm going to 4 3/4. All right. This is my front. This is my spine, and this is my back. Again, I have plenty here to go from. In fact, I think that this middle section is actually a little large. So let's look and see. I think it's bigger than 6 1/4. It is actually maybe just 6 1/4. So let's give that a go. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to trim off just a little bit of this edging. That way it will fit right in there to that corner. And then you won't even feel any base. And let me show you what I mean by that. So if I put this right in here, I've got to be careful now that I've got adhesive on the back. But if I put this in here, it should fit perfectly in that middle section. Yep. So I'm just going to cut just a little piece off of that. And I'm talking like an eyelash amount. Look, that's all I cut off. But I want to do it so that this will fold in here well. It will be right up to the corner, and then that way you're not feeling any of the seams or any of that on the sides. So that works really, really well. So again, we want to use score tape on this because we want to make sure that this is going to hold together really, really well. This is your spine. This is your box, or your book spine, I guess you could say, for what we're creating. So we want to make sure it's going to last. And I think score tape is the best for that. It's a lot more heavy duty. I just get mine off of Amazon. And I'll have a link down here so that you guys can see like where I get it and all of that. But it just comes in really, really handy. And I know that if I use it, especially on this milled cardstock, it is not moving. All right, so I've got that. Oops. There we go. All right. So I'm just going to put this right in here. I'm putting this edge right up to where this fold is, okay? So that it's right there and it will be just right at that seam. And then again, because we cut off a little edge, it won't even go quite to that seam. But I won't have to worry about you being able to feel it. But let me put this down just a little bit so I can see. Being really careful as I line it up, because once like I said earlier with the score tape, once you do it, sucker's not budging, right? All right, so now I'm going to press it down. I've got it all lined up. So now, same thing, we're going to put this inside. So this here, we know that the back of this was 6 1/4. So that should fit just right inside of here. And before I press it down, because I know as soon as I press it down, at least it's gotten sticky on the thing, it should be okay. I want to make sure that that's going to fold in there just right, and see how it does. It folds in just perfectly. So I know I've got that set up, so now I'm just going to add more score tape to the back of this, because that one little piece is not going to do it, especially with all that candy and such there. All right, there we go. Lots of score tape, but again, can't ever have too much when you're doing it like this, right? At least that's what I want to believe. All right, because you want it to hold. So you can see where it started to rip that milled cardstock when I didn't get the base of it. Oof. That piece is not holding well. It's a good thing I've got others, right? Whoops. All right, bring on the scissors. There we go. All right. And now you just kind of want to center it top to bottom and make sure that you're right up to the edges, the creases where it's going to fold on both sides so it's not overlapping. Try not to stick it down like I just did until you know that you have it the way you like. And I'm sorry I'm trying to do this without you seeing my big old head, but I think that's gonna get it for us, right? Right there. This is another place where you may think using a liquid adhesive and using a lot of it would be good, but I'll tell you, if you do, it could make the milled cardstock, let me make sure that that's, it could make it bubble up. So just be careful about how you do that. I think, nope. Well, I told you it might tear it. But again, this is a good thing. People aren't going to see this side of it. So, but I had it just a little over that fold. It's really hard to see this when you're on camera. But trust me, it does help having it full so that you know exactly what it's going to do. Okay, there we go. All right, just like that. So now let me open it up and press it down. All right, then what we're going to do is we're just going to take some pretty paper and we're going to put our pretty paper here and decorate that up. So let me go back to my cards or my paper. Again, I'm not going to do all of this with you guys tonight, but I do want to finish it so that you can kind of see all the different pieces and all the different things that we're going to do. Let me think. I want to use this for the outside because I know that she would really like that for the outside. So that is my idea there. I'm going to use this for my inside. I'm just afraid that these two colors are not bold enough because she likes it bold. Let me see. There is another floral paper in this pack. Let me see if I can get it. So I love that with all the different colors, but I think this is the one I'm going to use. Oh, that is the purple, but I think that's going to be the side that she's going to want. So we know that it's 8.5 is how big that our pink piece is, right? But I don't need 8.5 because I don't want it all to go all the way here. We cut this down to 8, remember? Our yellow piece we cut down to 8, so I want to go in 1/4 inch on that. So this one's going to be 7 3/4 tall, and then we want it to be 6 inches wide. So let me see if I can't use this one here. 7 3/4. Oh yeah, that'll work. Perfect. So we're going to do 6 inches wide. By 7 3/4. Again, I'm just giving myself 1/4 inch on all sides. And I'll check myself to make sure. I love these bright colors, but I know my mom is really going to love these bright colors. Especially today, it's like 25 degrees outside right now, or at least I think they said the wind chill was. So this is the perfect time to be able to see something beautiful like this, right? Absolutely love it. All right, so let me adhere this down. Makes me think that warmer weather is coming soon. Oh, and of course I'm out. Of course. Of course. Let me see. I don't know if I have any in this one or not. Yep. All right. So I want to put it right side up because it does have a top and bottom. Just like that. Just center it. And then there you go. So now I can put something here that's going to be for her birthday, the actual day. And then I can put numbers on these and make it interactive, put different candies or whatever I want inside. Now all I've got to do is this outside. So for the outside, again, I wanted to use that paper. And same thing that we're thinking about. We want to do the tops and we want to do the sides just to kind of make it fun and playful. So we want to put some colors here and we want to put some here. We can also, and I think I will do it on this, before I put my sides, I want to put some ribbon, okay? So, but let me just do the top right now. So we know again that this is 8.5, so I need to make this 8 1/4. Let's see if I can do 8 1/4 tall. Will it work? Yep, it's going to work on here. Let me cut that out. Move this over just a little bit. 8 1/4. I mean, I might just be able to do it. We'll have to see. Whew, I don't know. Let me see if I can just take that smidgen off. I don't think it will matter that much. Okay. So I've got that, and then we want to do it. Remember we did each side was 3 1/4, so that means I want these to be 3 inches wide. Okay, let me set this aside. We've got these. Now I'm going to bring these back in. And I'm just, yep, I just want to make sure that everything's going to fit well. I'm just trying to center it within that spot, and I think that's going to look good. I am going to use liquid adhesive. You could use regular, but as you just saw, I am out, so liquid adhesive it is. The other thing I will say too is that it is kind of good to have a liquid adhesive on this because the paper is going to bend a little bit the thicker you put things inside. And so if you're putting some things inside and it's bending, then you may see some gaps where it's not adhering all the way down. And so having liquid adhesive is actually going to help hold it, I think, better into more in place. Okay, there's that one. Okay. Again, I want to close this up so I can see it and make sure that I am. It should be, if I'm centering it, that it's good, right? But I want to make sure. Let's bring this more into the camera so you can see it a little bit better. I kind of wiggled a little bit because it was wet, but I want to make sure. Yep, if I do it just like that, it's even. All right, so I think that's really pretty. All right, now, again, I still am going to go back and I'm going to decorate. I'm going to put numbers on these, and I will show you exactly what I'm going to do. But before we get there, I think it would be fun to add some ribbon. So let me see what I can find. I've got lots of ribbon. This is satin, but very vanilla, and this is a white background, so I didn't think that that was going to work perfectly. So I think I'm going to try something else. Let me see. I don't have a ton of options right now. I've been using them all in my projects. Let me see what I've got. That's a different green. I know she likes bold, but I don't think I'm going to have enough bold. It's going to work. Let's see. What is this? This is Pretty in Pink. And I'm pretty sure Pretty in Pink is one of the colors that is in this paper pack. If you're not sure, you can always look at the label that's on the back, and it lists all the colors. And it does have Pretty in Pink. So I wish it was a little bit thicker, but that's okay. This will work. So what I'm going to do is literally just measure it out a little bit. Like this. So it's up around it. I know I want to give myself some to kind of tie a bow. So I'm going to, let me see. I can always take some away, but I can't add to it, right? So let's do it like that. All right. Let's make sure we've got it nice and even. And I think that's good. So if that's where I've got it, I'm going to, again, I'm putting my little magnets here so it doesn't move. That's also helping me know this is the area in between that I need to put adhesive. And I'm going to put some of the score tape again because I want to make sure that it's not going to move on the back. I don't have to worry so much on the sides because we're going to put paper on top of it, but I do need to think about it on the back. All right, so I've got it nice and tight right there. That's my center. So then I'm going to take this and I'm just making sure I've got it centered in my box. That looks right to me. I'm going to set it down, open it up, and press it down right here so that I can make sure that all of the ribbon is adhered down to it. Okay, close it up. Do it just like this. Now, I know that I want to cover up here, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use some of this paper, just like we did a minute ago, and same thing. It's 8.5, so we want to make it 8 1/4 tall, and because it was 1.5 wide, we want to make it 1 1/4 wide, so that it will give it this nice little edging around it, that little border. So let me bring in my paper. And I'm going to do it off the camera just so that I can grab it real quick, hopefully. And the only thing you want to pay attention to is that you've got it at the going in the right direction. If it is a directional paper, that'd be the one thing I would tell you just to kind of watch out for. So it's 8 1/4 by 1 1/4 is what we're looking at doing. And we're going to get 2 of them, 1 for each side. Okay, so here are mine now. Same thing. I'm going to put it on top of my ribbon. So I'm just going to take my adhesive. You can use whatever your favorite adhesive is. I would just recommend it's something that's really strong. Again, I don't know that Tombow or something like a regular tape adhesive would be good for this, only because it's going to be so interactive and a lot of pull. You want to make sure it's got something that's nice and strong. All right, so I'm going to make sure that's nice and taut, and then I'm just going to center it. Oh. There we go. And if I need to move my ribbon, I still can a little bit. I don't have a whole lot of give, but I'm just making sure it's even. And it actually looks a little crooked, so I'm going to see if I can move it. Oof, I don't want it to tear the back. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, same thing on this side. So again, just hold this down a little bit if you can, even if you press it down like this. It's okay when it's open, you can do that. Just until it can adhere and dry. Now you can make these as fancy or as simple as you want them to be. I showed you some out of the box things that I was kind of thinking of with the Valentine's Day one, using that tag die in order to make my notch out of the top. This one obviously has the circles. Let's see. But you could add lots of bling all around it, all inside. Because it's her birthday and because I know how much she loves, I'm just making sure that this is even. It's not. Because I know how much she loves color and bling, I will definitely be blinging hers up. This is not straight, so I'm going to adjust it while I can. There we go. There we go. Now, close it. Or open it, I guess, and press it down and just give it just a minute. All right. Then we're just going to tie a bow. Now, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I cannot tie a bow so that it's right side up. So I always have to do it upside down so that the tails go in the right direction. So I don't want to pull it too tight because I want this to remain the box, and it doesn't have everything in it like it's going to, but I want it to remain. So I'm going to do it like this, and I can open it back up, but my tails are always in the wrong spot. They're always up instead of down. So if I do it upside down, it should work right? There you go. All right, and then I'll just trim these up. All right. So there you go. That is our box for tonight. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. It's just a really fun treat to be able to see different ways. Let's put this one back together. Whoop, that came out. But different ways to kind of see how things work and kind of go together. I'm gonna have to play with this. I forgot how I did it. I know I had it like this and like this. And then we're gonna put this in here. And then we've got the masculine one, which I put paper on top of. Okay, so there you go. 3 different options, some fun ideas, things that you can do with them. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope I inspired you to try something new and to see that really it doesn't take a lot of time at all. For me to explain it and show it to you and all of that, it took like an hour and a half, almost exactly. And I had to stop and all of that. I haven't put bling on it and all of that, but I also took a bunch of time to show you some different things. So play with it, create with it, have fun with it. Show me what you do. I can't wait to see. All right, happy scrapping, everybody. Have a great night. Bye-bye.